Hello guys, welcome to this video. This is an introduction video for JavaScript. So what is JavaScript? JavaScript is a high level programming language primarily used to adding interactive activity and dynamic behavior to web pages. So in the main introductory video we talked about JavaScript used to add functionality. HTML is the structure, and CSS to add the styling. So one thing in JavaScript is that JavaScript is very dynamic. Okay, it's not static like CSS or like JavaScript. Okay, or like HTML. Sorry. So JavaScript is very dynamic. Okay, and in JavaScript there's something they call variables. All right, which is one of the sections of JavaScript. I wanted to start from variables. So what is variable? As I think of a variable like a container for data. Okay, container for data. So there are several data types in JavaScript. Okay, like strings, like integer, like floats. Okay, like boolean. So we'll be talking about that, but I want us to understand the concept of variables. Okay, so how do we declare variable? We declare variable by using the keyword var. Okay, the keyword var. So var is a way to declare a variable. Okay, like I said, variable are like container for data types. Okay, so we have not assigned this variable to any value or any data type, so it's still declared but not assigned. Okay, so we also added a semicolon, like I indicated here. Added a semicolon, and this word brings an end to the statement, or an end to the variable that has been declared. So there are other ways to declare variable in JavaScript, like using const and let, okay, which is part of the ES6 configuration code syntax. But for now, we'll just be concentrating on var keyword. Okay. So what are the rules? What can variable names contain? Okay, what can variable names contain? So they can contain both upper and lowercase digits, underscore, dollar sign, but I'll just prefer you keep your variables quite simple. You can just use just normal names. You can use any name of your choice, number, text, correct, is not correct, just any name of your choice. You can use names of objects just to practice. Okay, so it's also case sensitive. Okay, so in JavaScript there's something they call camel casing. We'll be going into that later on. Okay, so this is an example of camel casing, starting the first word with a lowercase, and the second word with an uppercase. Okay, so this is different from this, and this is also different from this. Okay, so how you declare a variable or assign it to a value is also very important. Okay, so camel case convention, this is what I talked about here. So what can variable names not contain? Okay, so they can contain words like if, else, function, return. Okay, so these are inbuilt keywords in JavaScript. Okay, also number first as a character, so you can't put a number before the variable name. Okay, but you can put a number after the variable name, like I have indicated here. Okay, you can also use a dash. Okay, I didn't indicate that, so I'll just say keep your variable names very simple, and keep practicing till you get the concept. So assigning variables, remember I said we does declare the variables are like containers. So we declare a variable age, var age. Okay, which is quite what we did here. Okay, var age. Now assigning variables, we have assigned it to a 10. Okay, so anywhere we call this age throughout the JavaScript code, what is going to appear is what 10. And also notice we move the structure, which is the semicolon, to the end of the statement from here. Okay, after assigning it to 10, so we can assign it to anything. Okay, not only 10, not only 11, not only numbers, not only floats, anything at all. Okay, so this equals to, or this equals to here, like you see, is not equals to in JavaScript. It's called what? Assignment. Okay, equals to is double of this sign here, but we'll be going into that later on when we go to comparison operators or logical operators, as the case may be. So what do we do with this now? Okay, so we can call it into the console.log, or we can insert it into our HTML, like using document.write and all that. Okay, so we don't just declare this or assign it, we use it for programming. We use it to perform certain tasks, okay, in JavaScript. So what are data types? Okay, so there are different types of data types. I've just narrowed it down to the 3 data types we might be using more frequently in this tutorial. Okay, so what's the first data type? The first data type is what we call integer. So these are numbers without decimal, like 40, 1, 23, 56, 99, 100, 999, 1000. Okay, so those are what? Integers. Then floats are numbers with what? Decimal: 3.1, 3.2, 100.5, 40.8, 33.7, or 23.7, 5.6. So any number with decimal. So it does not even have to be only one decimal place. You can use 3.333, 40.888, and all that, etc. Okay, so what's the last one? Strings are normally text. Okay, strings are normally put in either single quotes or double quotes. Okay, so they're normally text. So you can say Obi is a developer, or LVG Tech is a what? A company. So we can also add numbers in and quantify them as strings. Okay, so the browser will translate a number as a string if wrapped around a single or a double quote. So I am 20 years old. So even if you put this 20 to stand here alone and you put it around double quote, it will still show what? As a what? As a string, and not a what? An integer or a float. Okay, so just know the different data types that we'll be using frequently: integer, float, strings. Okay, throughout this tutorial. So ways you can output variables, I think I've already said this in the second or third slide. You can console them into the log, console.log num. Notice we didn't call 24, we called what? Num. So wherever we put num, 24 is going to what? Appear. So we declare the variable var num equals to what? 24. So anywhere we put num, 24 is going to what? Appear. So we can also put them into our HTML using document.write. Okay, so redeclaring and reassigning variables. Okay, so this is how to redeclare a variable. So when a variable is redeclared, we put var num equals to what? 23, and var num equals to what? 25. So we have redeclared this variable. Okay, so if we put console.log num, what is going to indicate here is no longer 23, but is what? 25. Okay, what is going to indicate is no longer 24, what? 25. So reassigning variables. So you notice the difference between this one and this one is that we didn't add the var keyword to the second one. Okay, here we didn't add the var keyword, so we say var num equals what? 30, and num2. Okay, var num2 equals what? 30, num2 equals what? 35. So this will still output what? 35. Okay, instead of what? 30. Okay, so now that's just the introductory part of the video. I won't be talking about JavaScript without having much of practice. That's not everything about JavaScript, but that's just giving us the concept about variables, about variable roles, about variable roles in naming or assigning variables, and data types. Okay, so roles in naming variables, I think I talked about that. So I'll be making this slide available also, so that you can grab the concept of JavaScript, grab the concept of variables, and understand certain things about variables, because we'll be working with variables extensively all through this tutorial on JavaScript. Okay, so we are here in our VS Code, and I've created a folder for this JavaScript tutorial. I've named it JavaScript, and I've created the asset folder, CSS, JS, and some other pages. So we'll just be working with the HTML, and I've also created a topic, the txt file, and we see the differences between internal and external styling in JavaScript. Okay, so I'll be heading to the HTML, and I'll just generate our normal code. I can call this page title uh, javascript tutorial, right? And I just give this a div. I can say um, section. I can call this hello there. We just started javascript. Okay, and I save this. So I open this on the console, or sorry, live server. I open this on live server. So I'll teach you guys two ways how to add JavaScript to your HTML. Okay, so one of the ways to add JavaScript to your HTML is using internal addition or internal okay. While it opens up, okay, we finally have it open. So hello, we just started. Let me correct this JavaScript. So one of the ways to add JavaScript by using you can add it internally. We put a script tag and okay, so we can input our JavaScript here. This is one of the ways, but we'll be using the external one, but let me just show you guys how to add the internal one. So like what we're discussing, I can say I can declare a variable here and I can name it num, and I can say equals to what, 10. So I've named the variable, I've declared the variable, and I've assigned it here. So to simply call it into the console, I can say console.log. I'll be doing the both of them actually. I can say what, num, and I don't forget to put the semicolon, and I go back. Now to check it in the console, we simply inspect element and we go to what, console. So we can see it here, 10. Okay, 10. So this is how we log it onto the console of the what, of the browser. Okay, so I'll try and see how I can put it into the HTML code also. So I can say document dot write. I can say num. So this is going to appear, but it's just going to appear in a different format. So this is 10. Okay, so we have logged it into the console. I've also logged into we've also written it in our HTML. Okay, so we've input this 10 into our HTML. Okay, so this is how to style it what, internally. I would like us to be using the external styling similar to the CSS, how we style the CSS. So I'll just simply erase all this, but that's one of the ways you can add JavaScript to your HTML. So the external styling, we simply use also a script tag. You can put it in the head tag, but I prefer to put it under the body tag. Okay, so it's a similar format to the internal styling or internal addition, but we'll simply add an src, which is the source, and we locate the folder where it is our code is located. I will say main.js. Now you notice in CSS we put what, style.css. In HTML we put what, index.html. Now in JavaScript we use what, main.js. Okay, .js. Okay, you can have multiple JavaScript in your code or in your project. I can call this main2 dot what, js. Okay, so .js is the extension for what, JavaScript. Okay, let me just delete this one, we don't need it. You can use any name. I've just used the name main.js for demonstration purposes. So now we have added our external styling here. We can simply declare a variable again, num equals to what, 20, for example. Oh, sorry. And we can now call the console.log. I can say num. I go back and I refresh this. You can see 20, and I'm trying to call it into the document, or I'm trying to write into the document dot what, right. So we can say num is now what, 20 also. Okay, so these are one of the ways you can add JavaScript. Okay, so this is just a simple demonstration. Now I have a whole lot of topics here I want us to cover in this lesson or in this tutorial. So I think we have talked about script tag, which is this internal and external here. The next thing we'll talk about variables. We've talked about document.write, we've talked about console.log, and I'll just show you how to add a simple alert in a JavaScript. Okay, with JavaScript. Okay, you can add a simple alert. So you can call this, you can put the alert in a variable, or you can just put the alert. I prefer to put the alert just like this. So you enter some pages and you see some things are popping up. You have some alerts. Welcome to our page. So we can just write welcome to our page. Okay, and put semicolon, and if I refresh this, we can see we have an alert here that says what, welcome to our page. Okay, we have an alert here that says welcome to our page. So later on, this is just a simple alert. I'll show you guys how to use the prompt and some other forms of alert, or using sweet alert and all that. So this is just a simple alert. I would simply just comment this out so that we don't mix things up. Okay, it doesn't keep popping and all that. So I'll name this variable. So I'll show you guys how to add this is just how to add a simple comment. I'll show you guys how to add multiple comments. We'll get to comments. Okay, so single line comment. To add a single line comment, you simply put a double forward slash. Okay, so this is just a double forward slash, not a backward slash. If you put a backward slash, it doesn't work. So we can say variable, you can see, so it has to be a forward slash. So I can say variables. Okay, here variables. Okay, here I can say alert. Okay, so that's for single line comments. Now multiple line comment, you simply use this, which is similar to CSS, and I can call this multiple line what, comment. You notice I went to the next line and it still has, the comment is still effective. So to close it, I simply put star and a forward slash also. So this is an example of multi-line comment. Okay, you can add whatever you want. You can add a comment on your code or whatever you want using variables. So I've indicated here how to use variables. You can declare it into the console. We can also redeclare it here. I can say declaring variables. Okay, so if I redeclare it now, I can say var num equals to what, 30. So you notice before we refresh our page, we go to the console, it's still what, 20. Okay, but I've changed it here. I've redeclared it and reassigned it to what, 30. Okay, so I go back and I try to refresh. This is not open with live server. I just opened it through my folder for this purpose. So this is now what, 30, and our document.write is still now what, 30. Okay, so we go to the next one, data types. All right, so I made mention that there are 3 data types in there are 3 data types we'll be mostly working with. So there are other data types, but there are 3 major data types we'll be mostly working with. So I'll just comment this out so that you guys will fully understand. So I say integer numbers without decimal. Example 40, 30. So I give an example here. I declare a variable, so I can say var num what, 2. okay, and I can say 40, and I just call this into the console.log to the console in our browser, and I say what, num 2. Now I made mention that you can put a number after the word but not before it, so you can see it's showing an error here. Okay, so those are one of the rules of using variables. Then also I made mention of the dash. You can't use a dash, okay, but you can use an underscore. Okay, so I'll just leave it like this, num2, and I put a destructor here that shows, okay, this is 40. Okay, so this is it. So that's for what, integer. So we'll go to what, float. So we can say var num 3 for floats. Okay, this is the data types, and floats are numbers with what, decimal. Example 40.1, 1.333, 67.5. So these are just random numbers I generated. So we can use this one. So 1133. So I made mention you can use more than one decimal point for floats. So I can say console.log num 3. Alright, so I go back, I refresh this, so we can see 1.3. Okay, so the other data type I said we were going to talk about is strings. Okay, strings. So I'll put this here, strings. I can say strings, let's say mostly text in single or double quotes. Okay, in single or double quotes. So it can also contain some words or numbers also. So we can say var text, for example, equals to I can say Obi is a what, developer, like the slide, and we can say another what, var text2 equals to what, 27. I don't want to confuse you doing this, but the computer will read this as a string and not a number. Okay, I can say I can say LVG Tech is a digital firm, and there are 3 years in operation. Okay, so this 3 here has been translated to what, a string, not a number. Okay, so remember I say string is one of the data types. Alright, so if we're to call this into the console, we can say console.log text2. Let's see if that works. Okay, so you can see I put that I would just not do this. Alright, I will not do this. I'll not confuse you guys. So the console.log text2. Okay, so does it. So we'll be working more with console.log than we work with document.write. Okay, maybe later on when we are very familiar, we'll be using the inner HTML to input HTML directly into our to input JavaScript directly into our HTML. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is nan, N-A-N, not a number. Okay, N-A-N, not a number. So this this arouses, or this comes on when you're trying to log in something, you're trying to do some calculations that are not numbers. Okay, so take example, I use var num5 or num4. I say what, 30, and I'm trying to do some calculation with something like this: var num5 equals to, then I'm trying to calculate a string against a number. Okay, so we'll get to arithmetic calculations, but I'm just showing you common not a number output. Okay, so I can say this, for example, and I put this. So I want to do some calculation. I want to calculate these two variables, or I want to add them out. Let me just use the console.log, and I can say num4 times num what, 5. Okay, num4 times num what, 5. So if we go back and refresh this, we see that it shows what, nan, not a what, a number. Okay, but if we were to change this to an integer or a string like 5, we'll see the output as what, oh, 150. Okay, so I'll just leave it here as not a number. Okay, so it has indicated what, not a number. The next one is no, okay, sorry, undefined. Next one is what, undefined. Okay, undefined. So this undefined happens undefined. So this undefined happens when you don't assign a value to a variable. Okay, so I can call this var num6, and I just leave it like this. Okay, so I've not assigned it to anything, I just declared a variable. So I can call this console.log. So I've not defined what I want to use this variable for. Okay, I've not assigned it to any value. Okay, so that's why it's going to show undefined. So I say num6, and I call this to the console. I refresh this, you can see it's showing what, undefined. Okay, it's showing what, undefined. Okay, so when we start using if else statement or other building blocks, you guys will fully see what several errors like undefined and all that. So the next one is what, no. So no is simply a data that has not a data that you don't assign a value. Okay, so you just use a no keyword. For example, I can say var num7 equals to what, no. Okay, so it's a keyword in JavaScript also. It's a keyword, you can see it's showing blue, similar to this keyword var. Okay, so if I call this to the console, it also shows no. So this no, you don't have any kind of is like an empty value assignment. I go back, you can see it's what, no. Okay, so the difference between this is that it has been assigned, but the value is what, no, and this one has not been what, assigned. Okay, so we're moving to the next thing here in meta characters. Okay, meta characters. So now in JavaScript, you have to be very sensitive. Okay, you have to be very sensitive. So if I wanted to write something like this and put a quotation, so let's say I use a variable type of a string, or sorry, a data type of what, a string. So I say text 6, for example, and I can say this is a string example. So if I wanted to put quotations in these strings, I wanted to highlight this, you can see it's showing me an error. Okay, it's showing me an error. Even if I change it to a single quotation here, okay, it's not longer showing me an error. okay, but console.log. Let us log into the console. Check 6. Okay, and refresh this. Now, by standard, okay, if we want to add a you notice that when we add uh, if we want to highlight this with a quotation, now this is only possible if we add the single quote inside the double quote, okay, but if we use this backlash, all right, either for double quotes or single quotes, we'll be able to breach without even minding whether it's a single quote or it's a double quote. Okay, so take example, I like to change it to the double quote example. I want to highlight it, so it's showing an error. Let's even try to see if it's showing here. You can see that all our code, our console has gotten into an error. So there's a way we can breach this by adding the backlash for this single quote. Okay, so we say backlash and also adding it here. Okay, so you can see the error has disappeared. So despite us having a double quotation here, it's not going to show what? An error. So we go back, we refresh this, you can see it's working perfectly well. So we can also do that to let me put this double quote, meta character. Okay, so that in case you're watching this video from anywhere. Alright, so that's it. So let's do it for the single quote. Meta character. So we say var text 7 equals to, this is a what? String example. Okay, so let's put this for the single quotes, and this and this. All right, so we say console.log text what? 7. All right, and we go back, we refresh this, so we can see it's working perfectly well. This is a double quote and this is what? Single quote. Okay, so now next thing I want to talk about is how to add a backlash. Okay, how to add a backlash. You notice that this backlash is not showing. Okay, this backlash is not showing. That's because in javascript a first backlash is what? Ignored. Okay, except you add what? Double backlash. Okay, if you want the backlash to show. So I come here and I want to add, let's say, backlash. Okay, so I say var text what? 8 equals to what? So I want to add a backlash, like this is a backlash example. So I can say here backlash example. Okay, I can also put it here. For example, I want to just highlight this. All right, so I say console.log text what? 8. So I've logged this into the console. Let's go back to our console. So we can see our backlash is working perfectly well. Alright, so if we notice, we added one backlash here, it didn't work, so we added the double backlash like I've indicated here for it to work. So another thing is how to add a new line. Now in HTML, I think we use the B arrow to add a new line. Okay, so I will just say new line meta character new line. Okay, so I can say var text 9 equals to, this is how to add put a backlash and put an n new line in JavaScript. Okay, so I say console.log text what 9. Alright, and I go back and refresh this, so you can see a new line has been what added. This is how to add a new line started. Okay, so that's how to add a new line, okay, in JavaScript. Alright, so we go to booleans, which is another data type, okay, in JavaScript. Okay, booleans, another data type. This is just true or false. Okay, so I can say booleans, so I can say var is true. For example, you can use anything here to add a boolean. True. So var is false. Equals to what? False. So if you're building maybe a quiz website, this can be very, very necessary. So I'll just console.log is true. Okay, console.log is true. So this obviously will show true here. So we can do console.log for false. Console.log is false. It is false. So this is another data type known as what? Booleans. Okay, so we'll be using this maybe later on during the course, but I want you guys to just grab the concept of JavaScript so far. So I don't think it's so complex, pretty much straightforward here. I've added some comments here to make everything very simple. We have the arithmetic operators. Okay, so this is simply calculation, like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, modulus, which is another word for, we can use another word for modulus as remainder, increment, and what? Decrement. Okay, so let's start from the addition. So I come here and I say addition, and I put two variables. I can say num10 equals to let's say 60. So I can say var num11 equals to what? 40. So adding the two together, I can say console.log. What am I adding? I can say num10, which is this variable here, okay, plus num what? 11. Okay, so this is just a simple arithmetic, normal mathematics operation. So this should give us pretty much 100. Okay, 100. All right, so we'll move over to what? Subtraction. So we can say var num12. Can use any variable name. I'm just using this so that you can have some correspondence. So 50 var num13 equals to what? 30. Okay, so I can say console.log num12 minus num13. Okay, so this should give us, I think, 20. Okay, 20. All right, so that's for subtraction. So you can also do normal subtraction. It doesn't have to be in the variable. So I can say console.log and I just want to do a normal subtraction, I can say 90 minus 30, for example. So it should give us something in the console also. 90 minus 30 is what? 60. So it doesn't have to be in this variable here. I'm just putting it so that to make things kind of organized. So we have multiplication, for example. Now multiplication, it's just the same thing. You can say var num 14 equals to what? 70. var num 15 equals to what? 20. Okay, so okay, let me just use something small. Let me use 2. Console.log. Now notice we don't use x. We're going to use this star here. Okay, we're going to use what? Star. So I can say num 14 times num 15. Okay, so this should give us about 140. Okay, so like I said, it doesn't have to be in the variable. I can say console.log 80 times 3, for example, and it's still gonna work perfectly well. Okay, 240. So that's it. So I'm using the console as an option to the document to write. Okay, so when we start, talking about loops and every other thing, I think we'll be very much dealing with adding inner HTML, building page loaders and all that. But for now, it's still good to understand the basic concepts. Okay, so just in case you don't understand how I got here, this is the HTML code. I simply go to my mouse, I right click, I go to inspect, and I go to the console. Okay, console is like where you log in information. So every information has been logged into the console. It is right here. Okay, so this is the last one I did, the last multiplication I did here. So now we go to the next one, which is the division. So the division is not using the normal division that we know, where we have a dot, a slash, and another dot. The division is using a slash in JavaScript. So I can say var num what? 16 equals to what? 20. And I can say num what? Var num 17 equals to 2, for example. So I can say console.log num 16 slash num 17. Okay, divided. This is divided. This is division. So this should give us 10. All right. So we move to the next one, known as modulus. Modulus is like adding a or extracting the remainder of a division. Okay, so take example, you want to modulus. Is that how I spelled it? Okay, modulus. Okay, so we say var let's say num 18 equals to 50, and we'll intentionally use an integer that won't fully go into this. So let's just use 3. Well, let me use 9. So we should have 9 into 50. We should have a remainder of about 5 thereabout. So it's going to output the remainder. So I say console log num 18, we use the percentage sign, num 19. Okay, So we go back and refresh this, so we have what? A 5. So is the remainder of the division of 9 into 50. Okay, that gives us what? 5. Okay, similar to what we did, we can also do a modulus just by putting it directly console.log. We can say 9 modulus, let's say 2. It should give us 1. Okay, so that's it. So the next one is increment and decrement. Okay, so we can add increment. We can add 1 to a variable data type like integer, which is numbers without decimals, or a float. But I'll just use integer for this. So I'll say var 20, var num 20 equals to, let's say, 7, for example. Okay, so now if I want to console log and add 1 to this 7, so instead of doing 7 plus 1, I can simply do plus plus 7. So this should, okay, plus plus num 20. So this should give us 7 plus 1. This should give us 8. Okay, so we do the same thing for subtraction, which is what? Decrement. Okay, so we say var num 21 equals to 8. So we can say console log num 21. Before that we put minus minus. Okay, so this should give us 7. Okay, so we can be using this later on if we want to prepare image slider, or we want to go into loops and all that. So just know the basic concepts. Okay, so this is for, let me even put it here, add 1, subtract 1. Okay, all right, so we are done with the arithmetic operators. So we have another one known as the assignment operators. Okay, so now we know what this is, we know what division, we know what modulus is, we know what minus, we know what plus is. We are going to be working on the assignment operators. Okay, now I made mention that in the slider, or in the first part of the video, that this equals to here in JavaScript is not equals to, it's an assignment. Okay, equals to in JavaScript is tagged as we'll be going into that actually, but I don't want to go ahead of our time. This is equals to in JavaScript, and this is what? Identical. So when we get to that comparison operators, we'll be working on that. So now we're going into, I was talking about the assignment operators. Okay, so I can say assignment operators. So the first assignment operator is this. Okay, so let's just talk about this. So a declare variable, I can say var number equals to, let's say, 50, and so I've just declared a variable here by what? 50. So by using the assignment operator, I can say let me just say var number 2 equals to, let's say, 40. Oh, sorry. So now using the assignment operator, we can say console.log number plus equals to, or assignment uh, number 2. So this is equivalent of just simply adding these two together. Okay, so let's check. This should give us 90. Okay, so we can see that, but this is, we're doing it by using what, the assignment operator, instead of using this. So this is equivalent to this. It's still gonna work very well. This is 90, but we're doing it using what, the assignment what operator. Okay, so that's for addition. So subtraction assignment operator. Okay, so I can say var number 3 equals to 60, var number 4 equals to, let's say, 20. Okay, console.log equals to number 3. While subtraction using the assignment operator, we can say number 4. So this should work. This should give us about 40. So this is 40. Okay, so I'll be using I've done this. I'll be using the multiplication. So instead of declaring another variable, I can just say console.log. I can say multiplication assignment operator. Okay, console.log. I can say number 3 times equals to number 4. Okay, so this should give us a very high amount, 800. All right, so this is for the assignment operator. Okay, here for multiplication. So we go to the next one, and which is the division operator. So we can say division assignment operator. Okay, I'll do the same thing here. Console.log number 3 divided by assignment number 4. Okay, so I can just put here equivalent of number 3 times number 4. Okay, I can put here also equivalent of number 3 divided by number 4. Okay, so if we go back, refresh this, we should have 40. No, number 3 divided by number 4. So this should not even give us 40. This should give us 3. Why is this giving us 40? Is 60. Okay, let's just let's just declare so Control Z. So this is supposed to give us a different figure. So I'll just declare a new variable. Let me call this var3, and I call this 10, and I call this var3 2. I call this what 2. Okay, so as a console.log free assignment operator free 2. Okay, and I put this, so this is equals to what 5. Okay, this is equals to what 5. um okay, go to the next one, the modulus. So modulus, is that what I called it? Yeah, that's correct. Modulus assignment operator. Okay, so I call this var 3 equals to, let's say, 40. Var 4 equals to, let's say, 9, and console.log free 3 modulus assignment operator, and what free what 4. Okay, so this should give us about 4, about. So refresh this and you have 4.444444. So that's for the modulus assignment operator. Okay, now we go to, I think we're almost done. We go to the if else condition statement. Okay, so now we know about this, we can simply work on if else statement. So the if statement is just a condition statement, and if something is correct, it can output a condition. Okay, so I can say if statement. So I can say something like if 90 is greater than 4, for example. Now if you notice how I put a statement here known as if, and I put it in a bracket. The bracket is where the condition is. So I've said now if I put the condition here, 90 is greater than 4. Then there's something called the curly bracelet. Is where you put the code statement. Okay, the code statement. That's what you want to output if it's true. So I can say console.log that if this condition is correct, output this into the console. I can say what this is what correct. Okay, so 90 is greater than what 4. If it's correct, put what output this into the console. This is what correct. So I refresh this simply, and can see the console showing what this is what correct. Okay, it doesn't have to be for only integers. You can do something for string. So I can say if something like let's say var text 50 equals to this is great. Okay, so I can use something like if text 50 is equals, remember I said this double equals to is equals to in JavaScript, this is great. 1 equals to is assignment, but double equals to is what equals to in JavaScript. Okay, so I can say console.log, I can say something like this is also correct. Okay, I put this. So I've said that if text 50 is equals to what this is great. Okay, this is assignment, and this is what equals to output this into the console. This is also what correct. So refresh this and can see what this is also what correct. Now if this were to be wrong, so I can just say something like this: this great, instead of this is great as a string. I refresh this, you can see nothing has come onto the console. Okay, so that's why it's called conditional if else what statement, or if statement. Okay, so we can also add else in the statement. Okay, so I can say if else statement, if else statement. Okay, so I put something like this. I can say if it's not, let me just copy all this out, copy. So the else statement is added after the if statement. Okay, else console.log, this is what wrong. Okay, so now the else, if this is wrong, this is what it's going to show. If this is correct, this is going to be what ignored. Okay, so we didn't add the else statement here because I was just dealing on what only the if statement, but I've added the if what else statement here. Okay, so you notice where I put the else statement, you can't put it between here, that's where the condition is. You have to put it what after this last what curly bracelet. Okay, so that's why I added the else. So console.log what this is what wrong. So we'll go back and we see, refresh this, you can see what this is what wrong. Okay, now there's also something we know as else if statement. Okay, so you can also put a condition. So now if you notice in the else statement, I can't put a condition here. It's going to be so wrong, nothing is going to work. See, it's even showing error. So I can't put a condition here, but I can only put a condition in the if statement here. But in the else if statement, you can put a condition. Okay, so take example, I declare a variable, I can say day of week, I can say equals to what Sunday. Okay, so I'm just want to prepare maybe a small quiz. I can say what if day of what week equals to what Monday, for example. I'll put this condition, console.log this is the what wrong day. Take example, I intentionally want to make this wrong, so I want to put else if statement. I can say day of week, oh sorry, let me put the double, which is equals to day of week, I can say equals to, I can say Sunday. So you notice here it's not showing an error, but if I to remove this if now, this is going to be so wrong. Okay, so you can see it's showing some errors here. So if I say if else if, okay, I can add another condition here. Remember, everything within a bracket is a condition. So this is no condition, this is just a code statement, but this is also a condition. Okay, so I can say console.log this is, oh sorry, this is the correct day. Okay, and I put the color bracelet, I will refresh, so this is the correct day. Okay, so we choose Sunday. Okay, so that's it for the if else statement. So go over it, just take a look at the code, you're going to fully understand this. Okay, so now we go to the logical operators. logical operators, logical operators, logical operators. So we have several logic. Now we have done if else statements. So logical operators. So now I've done if else statement. We can say if. Let me just declare variable. We can say var. Oh, there's no need. Let me just put if statement to put these logical operators. Now logical operators. This first one here, this double and would, output to be true if both operands are true. So you need to put them in a double condition here. Okay, this is just a one condition. Okay, so in fact, let me even put a variable here. We can say var, we can say tree, just a random name, 15. We can say var tree 2 equals to what? 20. Okay, so we can say what was it? If 3 is equals to what? 15. Okay, I will put that and now, which is a second way to compare two conditions together. So we can say 3 2 equals to what? 20. So if this is correct and this is what? Correct, the code is going to show console.log. Let me put something different here. I say the statements are correct. Okay, so I go back and I refresh this. You can see the statements are what? Correct. Okay, so logical operator, let me put this. Okay, we can say logical operator and this one. So now the difference between this one and this one is that, let me just copy this. This would run if one of the conditions are true. So let's intentionally make this one wrong. 80. Okay, so this is going to run if one of the conditions are true. Okay, so if this, either of this or this is true, the code is going to run. Okay, the statement also, so if we intentionally make this one wrong, so let's say I put this 80 here, we'll go back and we see. Let me just comment this out. Okay, so we intentionally make this one wrong, we'll go back and we see. You see, nothing is showing. Okay, so let's return this to what? 20, and we comment this out back. So I intentionally made this one wrong, similar to this, but this is also going to run. These statements are also what? Correct. So I refresh this, you can see the statements are also what? Correct. Okay, so that's for it. So now we'll go to the last one, this exclamation mark here, this exclamation mark here. Logical operator. So now this is going to run, or this is going to be true if the condition is wrong. Okay, so if I say what, if I put something like this and I put a condition, I can say if 100 is less than 0, for example, and I say something like this, I can say console.log the question is wrong but also correct. Okay, so this is normally wrong. 100, if 100 is less than 0, this shouldn't run. Okay, but this is going to run because of this exclamation mark here. So this is the opposite. If this is wrong, it's going to show as what? True. So let's go and check. You can see the question is wrong, but also what? Correct. Alright, so that's for it for the logical operators. So the last thing we're going to be doing is the comparison operator and the concat. Okay, so I'll just work on the comparison operator. Comparison operator. Okay, so this compares two or more conditions together. I think that's what we've been doing. This is equals to, this is identical, this is not equals to, this is not identical, this is greater than, this is less than or equals to, and all that. Alright, so let's start. So I declare a variable. I can say var, I can say 3 4 equals to 200, and I can say if 3 4 is identical, okay, to 200. Now I may mention that this is for assignment, double is for equals to, and this is for what? Identical. Identical simply means it has to be exactly the same. So I can say console.log, I can say this is identical. Okay, this is identical, so it works. Okay, and let's say I call this identical. Okay, so this is identical. I've already worked on this. This is where we are. So this is not equals to, so we can work on this also. I say comparison operator not equals to. Okay, so I can say var 3 5 equals to or assigned to 300. So I can put a condition like if 3 5 is not equals to 200. Okay, let it run. So I can say console log, this is not equals to. Alright, so this is also going to run. Okay, this is not equals to, so it's correct, it's going to run. Please take note of these comparison operators. Okay, take note. So I go to the next one, and it shows not identical. So comparison operator not identical. So var, let's say 3 6 equals to 600, and I say if 3 6 is not identical to let's say 600, let's say 599 plus 1, console.log this is not identical. Okay, So it's not coming up because it's not identical. Okay, it's not coming up because it's identical. But if I were to put um, okay, so if I were to put 500 here, so this is not identical to this at all, so this should run. Okay, so the 599 plus 1 was identical to what, 600. Okay, but the 500 is not identical to what, 600, so this should work. This is not identical. Okay, so we're almost rounding up. So this is greater than, I think we've worked on this. Let me just work on less than. I've also worked on this, so let me just work on greater than, equals to, or less than equals to. So comparison operator, less than or equals to. So this should work if it's less than or equals to. Okay, so I'll say var number 60 equals to, assigned to 70, not equals to, sorry. So I'll say if number 60 is less than or equals to 69, you can say console.log this is less than or equals to. Okay, so this is less than or equals to. So let's test it out and see. Oh, it's not working. So it has to be either less than, this is less than or equals to. Okay, so if I were to put 70, I will go back. This is less than or what, equals to. Okay, so the condition works if it's the comparison is less than or what, equals to. All right, so is 70 is equals to what, this, so this should work perfectly well. So that's just the same thing with the greater than or equals to. Okay, so if we were to put 79 here, it still works. So it has to be less than or equals to. Okay, so it has to be less than this, this has to be less than or equals to. Okay, so the comparison has to be greater than. All right, so I think that's the same thing for this. So now last thing I want to talk about is to concat is how to join two strings together. So I made mention that strings are string 1, strings are mostly text but can also be put, mostly text but numbers can also be put in double or single quote. So text, this is the first string. I can say var string 2. Let's use single quotes for this. So you can never put in single or double quote. This is the second string. Okay, so I will say console, oh sorry, concat, console, correct, dot log concat, okay, so now in this concat we need to put the first string before this concat. So I'll say string 1 and put a dot concat the second one, string 2. Okay, so this should output, this is the first string, this is the second string. Okay, So if we go back to our console, you can see this is the first string and this is the second string. So another way to do this is by adding the both strings together, but let's just leave it at that. So we'll be ending here and I'll be making this code available. I know our HTML is kind of empty, but I want you guys to grab the concept. So when we get into loops and using switch statement in the next class, we'll be seeing how we could build something out of this, but we won't be able to build much till we get to the DOM, the document object model, and we get to how to use functions, and we get to how to use loops properly, and we get to how to use events. Okay, so this is just an introductory video. I will have talked about most of the comparison operator, which will be very useful in our JavaScript project, and I've talked about everything here. I'll keep using this as a guide in the next class, and make our HTML more accessible. Okay, thank you, and see you in the next video.